You found yourself on another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, the Cavaliers survive a Detroit Pistons scare, Coby White cooks as the Bulls beat the Hornets, and at least Keegan Murray showed up for Sacramento against the Heat. We'll talk about it all right here on Let 'em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, you already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Sacramento Kings, Chicago Bulls, and Cleveland Cavaliers post-game reaction podcast. And I am your host, Starla Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. And you can find Let 'em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pandora, and wherever else you get your podcast. Give the show a follow on those platforms if you can. Please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. When teams are facing the Miami Heat do a really good job of making teams catch the bug called the Miami Heat flu, where they stay in Miami for the night and they don't look like they're ready to play. The Sacramento Kings, thankfully, did not look like they had the Miami flu, but it's very unfortunate that their 4-game winning streak came to an abrupt end at the hands of the Miami Heat, who were facing a losing skid of their own. 7 games, as a matter of fact, their longest under head coach Erik Spoelstra, who is a really, really good coach, by the way. I've been saying this a lot about the Miami Heat. Erik Spoelstra is a hell of a coach. He should be coach of the year. I don't know why he was not in any coach of the year candidacy. I don't know why, but this man deserves to be a coach of the year one day or another. But the Miami Heat snapped their 7-game losing skid, 115-106 behind a big scoring night from Jimmy Butler. He scored 31 points. He shot 10 of 14 from the field. And had 7 rebounds for the Miami Heat, who ended their longest losing streak since 2007 when they dropped 15 straight at a time. It's not just Jimmy Butler that stepped up for the Miami Heat. Josh Richardson scored 24 points, his season high for him, and he was 6 for 10 from three-point range. Before I was getting ready to record this show, I saw an alarming trend for the Sacramento Kings that got me a little worried. And with the trade deadline looming, somebody's got to address it. Now, I don't know if Matt George from Locked On Kings addressed it, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Sacramento Kings lack a defender, more specifically, a perimeter wing defender. I think they allow guys like Tobias Harris, who scored 30 points at one time against us, or Josh Richardson, who scored a season-high 24 against the Sacramento Kings tonight. I think we are not defending perimeter shooters. And because of the inability to defend the perimeter that the Sacramento Kings have not done recently, guys like Tobias Harris, guys like Josh Richardson score big games against us. And I know that the Sacramento Kings are trying to improve on the defensive end, and I believe that they are capable of doing that. But to me, you don't have a perimeter wing defender in Sacramento. Keegan Murray, to his credit, has improved on the defensive stature. But I think the one move that the Sacramento Kings must make at the trade deadline, they got to get a perimeter defender in here. They got to have somebody that can defend the perimeter, because the perimeter defense for Sacramento as of late has been absolutely abysmal. But credit to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have a culture and a standard that any other team wishes they can have. They say that they are the most physical. They have the most hard-working team in the NBA. No wonder why when they have their City Edition nights, or as I like to call it, Heat Culture nights, they display it on the court. And since the Miami Heat have a culture and a standard that they always look to live by, they have an exclusive right to do so. I wish every other team in the NBA established a culture and a standard like the Miami Heat do. Now, I don't like the Miami Heat per se, okay? You all know that I was pissed off and I was mad when Jimmy Butler broke my heart a couple of months ago when he put off an incredible buzzer beater off my Chicago Bulls. I will never forgive Jimmy Butler for that kind of shot. But with that being said, though, I respect Jimmy Butler as a player because he is a big-time scorer. He said after this game, just remember that we are very fortunate to have a job that we get to hoop, that we get to play with before so many great fans. We lost control of that for a little bit, but the sight that this isn't a difficult, it could be a lot worse. The Heat finished with a season-high 38 assists in their 1,500th regular season victory in club history. That speaks to me that the Miami Heat were so unselfish. 38 assists. Now, defensively for Sacramento, I think the Sacramento Kings were disconnected. I thought Miami played connected. I thought Miami played with a purpose. I thought Miami did a really good job of grabbing more 50-50 balls than the Sacramento Kings in this game, while the Sacramento Kings defensively looked discombobulated. They looked disconnected, and Mike Brown said, hell, give Miami a lot of credit. I thought they outworked us. They were just relentless pursuing the 50-50 balls, and that tells a lot of what happened throughout the course of the game. I think defensively for Sacramento, they got outworked. They got outworked, especially with 50-50 balls like Mike Brown said, and more importantly, there was not a lot of scoring as far as the Sacramento Kings. I mean, Malik Monk, he's been in a funk right now. I don't really like this man being in a funk, especially how he is a legitimate candidate for Sixth Man of the Year this year. De'Aaron Fox with only 13 points, he's been in a funk right now. There were only two players for Sacramento in my mind that showed up in this game. Domas with another triple-double. He's been Mr. Consistent lately for Sacramento, so I'm not surprised of how Domas has continued to be consistent as of late. And Keegan Murray had a big night. He scored 33 points. And by the way, the Miami Heat have always beat the Sacramento Kings. Depth taxes, and the Heat beat the Kings in Miami. They have not won in the Sunshine State in the 305 since October of 2018. If I'm not mistaken, that's like 5-6 years ago, the last time that the Sacramento Kings beat the Heat in Miami. Once again, the Miami Heat don't allow the Sacramento Kings to exercise a Miami 305 vice kind of demon that has the Kings not winning in Miami in the last 6 years. Keegan Murray, 33 points. Great effort for him. Domantas Sabonis, great effort for him. But for me, this game was about the Miami Heat playing with purpose. They were playing connected on both ends of the floor. They were so unselfish with the way they were passing the ball. And Sacramento, to me, nobody showed up. With the exception of Keegan Murray and Domas, nobody else came to the party. Nobody else was willing and able to play basketball. At least they didn't have 19 turnovers like they did last game, which I'm really happy about. But again, you need to play as a team against a team in Miami that are so big on Heat culture, that are so big of being unselfish, that are so big of being the hardest working team in the NBA. Clearly, the Miami Heat lived up to Heat culture in this game, while Sacramento, with the exception of Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis, looked disconnected and discombobulated, especially on the defensive end of the floor. The Miami Heat were more aggressive of getting 50-50 balls, and the unselfish play carried them to this win. The Miami Heat shot 50% from the field, 46% from three-point range. Sacramento, 44% from the field, 30% from three-point range. The free throw line struggles continue, 66% from the free throw line, while Miami shot 78%. The rebounds, 49-44 in favor of the Miami Heat. The assists, 38 for Miami, 26 for Sacramento. The steals, 6-3 in favor of Sacramento, which is nice. The blocks were 3-2, Sacramento, which again was nice. The total turnovers, Sacramento only 9 turnovers compared to the 19 that they had last game in the worst win of the year against the Memphis Grizzlies. I will take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Even though it was a loss, I will take the fact that the Sacramento Kings only had 9 turnovers on the night. The points of the paint, 54-50 in favor of the Sacramento Kings. The fast break points, 22-15 in favor of Sacramento. So on hindsight, the Sacramento Kings, for the most part, won every single stat in this game. They were in a position to win this game, but it only came down to 2 factors for me. Actually 3. Number 1, Keegan Murray and Domas were the only 2 players that showed up in this game. That's unexcusable. When you're playing against the Miami Heat, you got to play as a team, and I don't think Sacramento did that. Number 2, you got to be connected on the defensive end. I thought defensively, Sacramento was a step slow in this game. And number 3, you got to make your shots. Keegan Murray said after this game that they had good looks, and I agree with them. Sacramento had a lot of good looks getting to the basket. But unfortunately, some days in the NBA, your shots ain't going to go down. It's not the fault of Sacramento at all. It's just that they had good shots all night, and sometimes shots just don't go down for you. Shtick happens in the NBA, right? Shtick happens. But it was about Miami and the way they played connected and played with a purpose, especially defensively. Keegan Murray led the Sacramento Kings in scoring, his best performance of the year. 33 points. He was 7-11 from three-point range, 12-18 from the field in 38 minutes. He had 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 big-time blocks. By the way, Sacramento, can you please run sets for Keegan Murray? The next time that he has a hot hand like this, you gotta run sets for him. When you had Harrison Barnes riding the hot hand, you ran sets for him. When you allowed Kevin Huerter, you ran out sets for him. De'Aaron Fox, when he's hot, you run sets for him. Why doesn't Keegan Murray get some sets? Keegan Murray was your best scorer all night. I mean, if he wanted to, he could drop 40 on the Miami Heat. But no, you didn't run any sets for him. I thought that was inexcusable because you didn't know how to ride the hot hand. But again, it was about Miami's defensive connectiveness that made them win this game. Domas, 19 points, 17 rebounds, 13 assists, a steal and a block. Another triple-double for this man. He should be an all-star when the NBA announces their all-star reserves sometime tonight. I think on the next show, Let Them Know Kings United, when I talk about the Cavaliers and the Grizzlies, I might probably do a segment regarding my reaction to the all-star selection for the Cavs, Kings, and or the Bulls, but I don't think any of the Bulls are getting an all-star selection. De'Aaron Fox had a rough night with 13 points of 4-16 for the field. Kevin Huerter, he was decent, 50% for the field, 14 points, 6-12. Harrison Barnes, his hot streak is over, but I appreciate him getting at least 13 shots. He finished with 9 points on the night. As for the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler, 31 points, 10 of 14 from the field, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. Bam Adebayo, 16 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, only 3 points in 30 minutes, 1 of 8 from the field with 10 assists. I think the Sacramento Kings did a good job defending Terry Rozier as far as scoring goes, but you got to give credit to Terry Rozier because when his shots are not falling, he found a different way to get involved, and his different way was the assist numbers. That's why he is so unselfish as a player. And Josh Richardson killed the Sacramento Kings from deep. 6 of 10 from three-point range, 24 points with 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Like I said, good win for the Miami Heat. They were connected and played with a purpose. Sacramento, you had a good effort. You had a good effort off the worst win of the season. I appreciate the effort, but you got to be more connected defensively. You got to allow other players to show up. Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis could not be the only 2 players that show up every single night. And when it comes to the trade deadline, my one request for Sacramento, you got to get a perimeter defender in here. You got to get a perimeter wing defender that can defend threes, because the Sacramento Kings are allowing way too many perimeter guys to kill the Sacramento Kings from three-point range. Get a perimeter defender and the Kings will be all right. Coming up next, I was so pissed off on the Chicago Bulls against the Toronto Raptors. Although I'm not going to forgive the entire team, I'm going to forgive one person for the Chicago Bulls that led them to this bounce-back win against the Hornets. I'll tell you who it is when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings United, and if you haven't seen yesterday's show, number 1, go check it out, and number 2, what in the heck are you doing? Like, if you miss any of my episodes of Let 'Em Know Kings United, what are you doing? Go check them out. They are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. But anyway, if you saw or listened to yesterday's show, I was pissed the hell off on the Chicago Bulls, and I was so mad at them that I couldn't even forgive them. Now, they did bounce back with a 117-110 win, but I gotta be honest with you. It was ugly. It was an ugly game. I mean, sure, we got the win, but I don't appreciate the effort for most of the time. I really don't. I mean, to be honest, if I could appreciate 3 players for their efforts, thank you, Nikola Vucevic, who looked strong all night, even though he sucked. Thank you, Ayo Dosunmu, who's rolling as of late. 16 points for the Bulls tonight, who are still in 9th place in the Eastern Conference, who are still trying to get to the precious 500 record. And thank you especially to Coby White. And Coby White, I forgive you. Coby White was hooping all night long. 35 points back in his home state in Carolina, where he went to college. More specifically, North Carolina. That North Carolina boy balled. He turned in one of his best outings, one of the better outings of the year, attacking the hole with a purpose. He finished 12 of 22 for the field with 4 big-time threes, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds after being limited to 13 points Tuesday night in one of the most pathetic losses of the year the night before, 118-107 against the Toronto Raptors at home back on January 30th, which we should have won. Now, I need to give Toronto credit real quick. I thought Toronto did a really good job of being physical against Coby White, limiting him to only 13 points. Besides the fact, I think Coby White was in foul trouble for most of this game. In this game, Coby White looked to me that he was an all-star caliber player. Not only an all-star caliber player, but to me, he's in the lead for most improved player around the NBA right now. I love the fact that Coby White and Ayo Dosunmu did a really good job of pushing the pace, because Billy Donovan wants the Chicago Bulls, as bad as Billy Donovan is as a coach, as bad as he is, I kind of like the approach that Billy Donovan is going with here. Billy Donovan wants the Bulls to push the ball, right? When we get the ball in transition, you gotta push. You gotta push, because if you don't push, it allows the defense to set up and we become a half-court team. I give credit to Ayo Dosunmu and Coby White, because both of those guys want the Bulls to push the pace. They're the only two people that listen to Billy Donovan since training camp. Maybe that's because they're younger than the rest of these players, but maybe that's beside the point. The point is, Coby White and Ayo Dosunmu were the only guys that pushed the pace for the Bulls all year. All year. Yes, you had Julian Phillips that played really hard too, but those were the only three guys that pushed the pace in transition. And Alex Caruso, I now understand why Alex Caruso is off limits when it comes to the trade deadline. He's the only guy on this team that plays consistent and plays hard on both ends of the floor, especially on defense. But tonight, it was about Coby White, who scored 35 points. Billy Donovan said this about Coby White after the game: I personally didn't think he was happy the way he played Tuesday night. And that's the one thing I admire and respect about him. He's very introspective. He can course correct pretty quickly. He was really aggressive. He got downhill and did a lot of really good things and opened up things for himself and our team. White said that was by design from the jump. He says he tries to approach every game the same way. He also acknowledged he wasn't thrilled with his performance against the Raptors and didn't want to make the same mistake on back-to-back nights. Coby said about that, obviously, I wanted to come out and be more aggressive than I was. It was White's second big game in Charlotte this month, scoring 27 points and recording 6 rebounds and 5 assists in a win against the Hornets on January 6th. By the way, the Chicago Bulls have swept in a regular season series the Charlotte Hornets for this season. I appreciate that aspect, even though, listen, this was a closer season series than I thought. We didn't play a complete game against the Charlotte Hornets, which I don't really like. And yes, it wasn't pretty, but you know what? It was all about the bounce back, right? It was all about the bounce back for Chicago. Miles Bridges said we couldn't stop Coby White, Vooch. They had a good two-man game going. We couldn't stop Coby in the clutch. If we got 3 stops on Coby, we win the game. But Coby White was straight up cooking the Charlotte Hornets all night long. Nikola Vucevic, he had a really, really strong game. He had 22 points and 12 rebounds, a double-double for Nikola Vucevic. And by the way, the Bulls handed the Charlotte Hornets their 5th straight loss at home. Their 5th straight loss was for the Charlotte Hornets. Steve Clifford was not happy with his team's on-ball defense. We couldn't guard. They were just in the paint every pick and roll, according to Steve Clifford. We've been having problems just because our principals are bad and stuff. But those guys are terrific offensive players. They played well, and sometimes that happens. Steve Clifford, you're an absolute disgrace to the game of basketball. The way you run your Charlotte Hornets is absolutely corrupt. And again, I give credit to the Chicago Bulls for playing with purpose, for playing with poise, especially in the second half. And especially Coby White and Ayo Dosunmu. By the way, the last 7 games, Ayo, 2, 3, 4 is averaging 15 points per game in his last 7 games. That man has been hooping in the absence of Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine, Torrey Craig, among other players. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't the cleanest game that the Bulls have ever played, but in the second half, I thought the Chicago Bulls turned it up, and Coby White was just straight up cooking. His game was like a microwave, and he was scorching hot all night long. 35 points for the one-time Tar Heel out of North Carolina. This man hooped, and this man led the Chicago Bulls to a massive bounce-back win. And what I appreciate about Coby White is he told DeMar DeRozan, hey, listen, I'm going to let you fall back. You better fall back. This is my stage. I'm from North Carolina, gosh darn it. This is my stage. Get off. I wish Coby White was more aggressive like this. When Coby White has the ball, good things happen. When Ayo Dosunmu and Coby White push the pace on a regular basis, good things happen. Now with the trade deadline coming up, I don't think the Bulls are going to do anything because they are so inconsistent with the way they're talking. I heard one report that the Bulls are going to stand pat. Then the next report, I heard that the Bulls are going to make a franchise-altering move. Why not we do this, Chicago? You show me instead of talking about it. Why not start talking and why not stop talking about the trade deadline and what you're going to do about trading Zach LaVine or trade DeMar DeRozan, somewhere like that, and you show me. You just show by your actions. Stop talking about it. Be about it. That's my challenge for you, Chicago Bulls, when it comes to the trade deadline. But I know you're not going to do nothing because you're complacent as hell, and you are betting on continuity. That's why this roster is so bad, and that's why this front office is bad. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Anyway, 51% for the field for the Chicago Bulls, 37% from three-point range, 72% for the foul line. For the Hornets, 44% for the field, 35% from three, 82% for the free throw line. The rebounds were 44-40 in favor of the Bulls. The assists, 28-25 Bulls. Steals were even at 4 apiece. The blocks, 7-6 in favor of Chicago. 10 turnovers each for each team. The points in the paint, 54-46 in favor of Chicago. The fast break points, 14-7 for the Charlotte Hornets. And the Charlotte Hornets got a really big advantage as far as bench scoring because the Bulls were so short-handed and the Charlotte Hornets were short-handed as well. But the game was about Coby freaking White. Most improved player, potential NBA All-Star? Hell yeah. More most improved player, but nevertheless, this man dropped 35 points, 12 of 22 for the field, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. He almost was flirting with a double-double. You can argue that he was flirting with a trip-dub. That man cooked. Ayo Dosunmu, 16 points, 7 of 10 for the field with 6 assists and 3 steals, and he also had a big block. This man has been hooping. 15 points per game in his last 7 games. Keep it up, Ayo. Keep it up. Nikola Vucevic, good response, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, but Vooch, stick to your inside game, please. I don't want to see you shoot any more threes. You were 1 for 4 from three-point range. You're shooting 26 or 25%, somewhere in that range from three. Stop it. Stop it. Your game is either mid-range or the inside game. Like Stacey King said, it's a simple game, Vooch. You're not playing the simple game. You're making the game hard on yourself. Let the game come to you and stick with the paint. If you stick with the paint, good things happen. Come on, man. I know you're better than this, Vooch. Come on. D-Roll was limited to 15 points, 4 of 10 for the field, but he let Coby White cook all night. Brandon Miller for the Charlotte Hornets. I was really, really impressed with Brandon Miller. He's a standout rookie. 21 points, 8 of 21 for the field with 3 assists. Miles Bridges had a good game with 30 points, shooting 6 of 13 from 3 with 15 big-time rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks. P.J. Washington off the bench did really well with 26 points, 10 of 17 for the field with 8 rebounds and an assist. Andre Drummond for the Bulls off the bench, 10 points, 8 rebounds, and an assist. But good bounce back win for the Chicago Bulls. Good bounce back win for Chicago. Now you got to take care of business against the Sacramento Kings team, who was on a second night of the back-to-back. And we all know how the Sacramento Kings perform on the second night of the back-to-back. I hope the Bulls come out ready. I hope the Bulls come out locked in. I hope the Bulls look ready for this game, because if they look locked in, if they're locked in come Saturday night at the United Center against the Sacramento Kings team on the second night of a back-to-back, we get this win, then the Minnesota game is going to be big. Now, we all know Minnesota is the number one team in the Western Conference, and it ain't going to be easy. We take care of Sacramento, we got some big-time momentum on our side, but we got to take care of business on our home floor. Coming up next, the Cleveland Cavaliers got a big win over the Detroit Pistons with Darius Garland returning and Donovan Mitchell dropping 45 points, but Detroit needs to get credit for the way they played. I'll talk about it when we come back on Let Them Know Kings United. We're back here on Let Them Know Kings United. We are talking about the Miami Heat being more connected to the Sacramento Kings in a win, snapping their 7-game losing streak, and the Chicago Bulls bouncing back off a big-time performance from Coby White. Coming into this game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons, I bet everybody and their mama expected the Cleveland Cavaliers to just run away with it. Run away with the Detroit Pistons team, because they were 6-40 coming in and they were playing like absolute dog water, despite the fact that the Detroit Pistons were coming off a big win, probably their signature win of the season, against an Oklahoma City Thunder team that was number one in the Western Conference coming in. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, as the Cleveland Cavaliers, I gotta keep it period point blank with you, the Cleveland Cavaliers survived a scare for the Detroit Pistons as they walked away with a 128-121 win. Now, before I even get into it, I need to give credit to the Detroit Pistons here. I need to give credit to the Pistons, because I thought the Detroit Pistons came out. I thought they played hard. I thought Danilo Gallinari stood out for all the right reasons. He played extremely well. He shot the ball well. I thought that Bogey was doing his thing from three-point range. I thought Cade Cunningham was doing a decent job in this game. I thought Jaden Ivey was really, really athletic. I liked their game for the Pistons, and they had a lot of hope and they had a lot of confidence going into this game. Part of it is because they were building off the previous win that they got against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But another part that worries me is the Cleveland Cavaliers gave the Detroit Pistons that kind of hope. Now, they almost disrespected the game. Almost, because if the Cavaliers lost this game to the Detroit Pistons, I would have said a totally different thing when it comes to this game. I would have said that the Cleveland Cavaliers disrespected the game. They overlooked this Detroit Pistons team. It was almost a trap before it even started. But Donovan Mitchell continues to do Donovan Mitchell things. He dropped 45 points. He scored 20 of his 45 points in the fourth quarter, as the Cavaliers were able to pull away late in the fourth quarter. But I got to tell you something. This Detroit Pistons team played a hell of a ball game. A hell of a ball game, despite the fact they lost this game. I thought they played hard. I thought they played with a purpose. Danilo, Bogey, and Cade and Jaden stood out for all the right reasons. So if you are a Detroit Piston fan, you have absolutely no reason to put your head down despite the outcome of this game. You guys played hard. You guys played with a purpose, and I gotta give the Detroit Pistons credit for that. As for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland is back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. He missed a month of basketball from a broken jaw, and he was limited to 19 points because of a minutes restriction, but I thought he looked good. I thought he looked good in this game. He looked like his old self again. His quick first step is just too lethal. And Evan Mobley, he continues to impress in his second game back since injury. For the most part, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is getting healthy at the right time. Yes, they are without Ty Jerome, who basically has been missing the majority of the season. So the pickup for Ty Jerome, I gotta be honest with the Cleveland Cavaliers here, that was a total bust of a pickup. But with that being said, though, for the most part, the Cavaliers are back to full strength. And Jared Allen, I don't know what else I can say about this man. I don't know, but this man is a double-double machine. In 16 straight double-doubles for this man. 14 points and 11 rebounds. And Isaac Okoro, he continues to be a pest on the defensive end. He added 14 points, and Cleveland has won for the 11th time in their last 12 games and has the best record in the league since December 16th at 16-4. The amount of improvement that the Cleveland Cavaliers got since December, despite no Evan Mobley, despite no Darius Garland for that period of time, has been absolutely incredible. And again, JB Bickerstaff, this man is a Coach of the Year candidate. You could argue that he might be the Coach of the Month for the entire month of January. He said after this game, "You marvel at what Donovan does when the game is on the line. We have a closer." Not a lot of teams can say that, and it's a huge advantage for us. Donovan Mitchell is that man. When the game is on the line and if it becomes too close for comfort, this man knows how to deliver a knockout punch. But give the Pistons credit, ladies and gentlemen. They balled out. Danilo Gallinari especially. He was 4 for 4 on three-point shooters, and he scored 20 points. And the Pistons were seeking their first back-to-back wins since October 27th and October 28th. Way back in the beginning of the year when they defeated the Charlotte Hornets and the Chicago Bulls. Monty Williams said, "We just didn't execute with good coverage on Donovan," and that's on me. This is the formula for us to win games, but we have to be much better, and that falls on me. Mitchell matched his season high in scoring in this game. Garland logged 20 minutes in his first action back since December 14th when he sustained the injury, the broken jaw, in a collision with Boston center Kristaps Porzingis. It was clearly unintentional. Injuries happen. I don't like that injuries happen, but that's part of the game, right? The former All-Star was sidelined for 19 games, forcing Donovan Mitchell to slide over to point guard. And the Cavs, who are 4th in the East right now, had their projected starting lineup together for just the 12th time this season. 2 days ago against the Clippers, Evan Mobley returned from a 21-game absence after undergoing left knee surgery. Spida said, "It's great to have DG and Evan back. That's first and foremost. The biggest thing now is to continue to figure it out. We have a deep, talented team, and we're continuing to build together." Compared to last year, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is stacked with a lot of depth, especially with their shooters. So if the Cleveland Cavaliers need to make a move at the trade deadline, I would honestly get rid of Ty Jerome, because Ty Jerome, he hasn't seen the floor a lot. So again, I think that pickup for Ty Jerome has been a bust for Cleveland. But having said all of that, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers can stand pat here. I think the Cavaliers are good the way they are, and they have been hoping right now. They have been one of the best teams in the NBA since December. DG said, "It's definitely been a long process with all the stuff that I've been through this last month. Being back out there with the guys tonight was great." And I heard that in the broadcast, Serena Winters, the Cavaliers sideline reporter, talked about how when Garland was rehabbing off a broken jaw, he had to eat stuff. He had to blend his food and eat from a straw. I don't know what that feeling's like for me personally, but that wouldn't be good. If I was in Darius Garland's shoes, I would not be part of that lifestyle. But Darius Garland used it for recovery, and he used it for his advantage to get back out there on the court as quickly as possible, and you love to see that. As far as the Detroit Pistons reaction, Cade Cunningham said Donovan Mitchell was tough and put a lot of pressure on us late. He's a really good player, and he's going to make plays. Cade Cunningham, now you know why that Spider is that dude. Spider is a foregone closer. Spider is a big-time player. And you know what they say, big-time players make big-time plays. And the Cleveland Cavaliers right now are looking like a big-time team, even though they survived a scare for the Detroit Pistons. I want to see the Cleveland Cavaliers learn from this game. I want to see tonight when the Cavaliers play Memphis, you do not give this Memphis team hope. Yes, they only have one true starter, and that's Jared Jackson Jr. Now, Jared Jackson Jr. is going to get his, and if I was Evan Mobley, I would challenge this man, and if I was Jared Allen, I would make sure that you prove why you might be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, because Jared Allen and Evan Mobley have a big advantage, a size advantage over Jared Jackson Jr. I want to see that come into fruition tonight when the Cleveland Cavaliers play against Memphis at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But this was a game where the Detroit Pistons played hard, but Donovan Mitchell shut the door. I mean, good teams find a way to win, and Cleveland did exactly that. The Pistons, though, shot 55% from the field, while Cleveland shot 52% and 51% from three for Detroit, 34% for Cleveland. So again, and Detroit, you deserve a lot of credit. You deserve a lot of credit. You did not look like a 6-41 team who was 2-19 on the road coming in. Now you're 2-20. You guys played your hearts out. All credit to Detroit here. But at the end of the day, good teams find a way to win, like I said. The rebounds were 35-33 in favor of Detroit. The assists were 27-26 in favor of Detroit. The turnovers, 19 total turnovers and 29 points allowed off turnovers for Cleveland. I thought Cleveland did a really good job of getting in transition and turning defense into offense all game long. They dominated in the paint, 66-44. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley played a big role in that. The fast break points were 21-15 in favor of Cleveland. That's because of their transition defense. For Detroit, Danilo Gallinari. This man is a pure shooter. I loved the pickup for them when they traded Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers to Washington. 20 points, 4 of 4 from 3, 6 of 8 for the field in 28 minutes with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a big-time steal. Cade Cunningham, 19 points for him with 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Jaden Ivey, he is athletic, okay? He is going to be a big-time player in the future. 14 points, 4 assists, 2 steals and a block. He was 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3-point range. Bogey finished with 17 points, 4 of 8 from 3, 2 rebounds and a steal on the night. But as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, Evan Mobley in his second game back, he played 22 minutes and only got 8 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal. Jared Allen, he continues to prove why he needs to be an all-star center. 14 points, 11 rebounds, another double-double for him. That's 16 straight with a steal and a block, shooting 7 of 10 for the field. Donovan Mitchell is a big-time player, 45 points, 6 of 13 from 3 with 8 assists, 6 rebounds, shooting 14 of 25 for the field. DG looking like his old self in 20 minutes, 19 points with 3 assists and 2 steals, shooting 7 of 12 from the field. I thought the bench really stepped up once again. Isaac Okoro did well with 14 points. Karis LeVert and Sam Merrill both had 11 points on the night. Dean Wade, no points for him in 12 minutes. He had an off night, but it happens, right? One player's going to have a hard night sometimes, but Big time players make big time plays, and Donovan Mitchell is a big time player. When the Cavaliers get a big time win, they survived a scare for the Detroit Pistons. They need to learn from this. They do not need teams that are bad like the Pistons to have hope and confidence. I thought they were going to lose this game. I literally thought that the Pistons were going to steal it, but Donovan Mitchell shut the door, and the Cavaliers continue to prove why they are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference right now. Don't look now, but the Cavaliers have a golden opportunity to get to quite possibly the second seed in the Eastern Conference. That will be a big surprise. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Star Radio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, or wherever you get your podcast. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. I appreciate you all tuning in. I am your host, Scarlett Weisberg, and I will see you right back here for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.